Alright, welcome back to the official playthrough of Sokoban the RPG. We'll be venturing into the snowy area now. This is where the puzzles will get more interesting. So they start off relatively simple compared to the last ones of the forest, but they will at the end get quite tricky. So let's take a look. First, Lewis has something to say. Like I thought, more puzzles, and this time I'm freezing to death while solving them. I better hurry up and get them over with already. Despite its dress providing me with more warmth than I'd expected, it's still far from comfortable out here. Let's take a look. Yeah, so this is quite a subtle puzzle. Need to take into account that filling this bottom space will make it so that you can't really fill up any of these this space anymore. So you kind of need to try not to push too many boulders down in order to block this off. So you want to keep this one up at all costs. So then this one can come down. And then still without pushing this one down, you can push this in here. And now you can just clear up the... oh, that was not my intention. Now you can just put in the other three. So yeah, that's this puzzle. Take some thought. Definitely take some thought. So this puzzle is divided into two parts. You need two down here, but this one is kind of stuck against the fence, so this one will first have to come down. Or it will first have to, yeah, and in order to come down it has to go up. But there's two boulders here, and you can't really fit in a third. So first, something from this side has to go down, and then this one can go up. Now you can see that these are already in place. So in reality we didn't even have to move this one. It's just for a symmetric effect. And there we go. That's the solution. Simple once you see it. Okay, only 3 boulders this time, but it doesn't mean that this is an easy puzzle. We kind of have the same idea. So this one is kind of in a nasty position, so we need to push it down. So that also means that we need to be able to walk through this area here, this path, which is now quite blocked off by the boulders. So we need to find a way to get these out of the way, and the way to do it is this. So now, well out of the way, and we can push this one down into here, and now we still need to push these two back, and with a little bit of effort we see that we can do that. So yeah, that's this one. And another tent. Excellent. Let's continue. So this is the puzzle that's shaped like a gun, and you're putting the bullets in the barrel while solving it. Yeah, so this is really the only way to start. Just pushing everything out of the way. You need to push it up and down and to the side, just to create some space. And once you have enough space, you finally push him down. And you want to do this because then, only then can you start loading the barrel. And once you have all the boulders down here, well, then you can just fill up the barrel one by one. It's a nice little example of a staircase. There we go. Next, this one. So we can see right off the bat that this is really blocked in, right? I mean, especially this bottom boulder here, it has to go quite a long way before it can reach the goals. So let's try to make enough space. So this one needs to go, and this one needs to go. We also have stuff down here. So in this case, it's actually safe to just commit this boulder to the corner. Now we need to make some space, so let's do it like this. Alright, so now we can push this one to the side and this one out of here, so that in the future we will just be able to take it from the top. And the future is actually already now, so let's go. Now of course I made space at the bottom in just the right way that I can actually fill up the remaining spaces. Might take a few tries to get that precisely right. So this one is a little sneaky. You need to observe that behind this tree you have this like little square, so you can actually safely fill up this top spot right there. So that means one less boulder to worry about. And now again, in order to fill up this line here, this boulder has to go, but it can't go further down just yet, because this one will then block this area in. But this one can't quite move yet because this one is still in the way. So we need to make some space. One way to do that might be this. So now we can just put this down and to the side. And now we can just basically fill up the whole thing. Yeah, it's quite common in Sokoban puzzles that like the starting moves are tricky, and if especially if the goals are like away from the puzzle, then at the end it's just a little bit of mindless pushing, and that's okay. I mean, it's only 5 boulders. You can do it in less than a minute. Shouldn't be too bad, I think. But yeah, that's quite common in Sokoban puzzles. Yeah. Another tent. Excellent work. I think we have got quite a good pace going. Ooh, there's a lot going on here. So this is like another classic example of it looks a lot more complicated than it is in reality. This is the only move. This makes a lot of sense. This as well. This basically screams you in the face. This as well. This as well. And this as well. So yeah, most of the boulders, they fall into place immediately and without any effort. So now we first fill up the bottom area, which, you know, you need to pay attention a little bit. But then you just sweep in the last boulder and we're done. This puzzle is nice. I like this one. We first observed that the only way to get a boulder into these two places is to use these two places here, right? So you need to push them like this. So that means that these have to be filled first and then these. But of course, when we have filled these, we can't push boulders off this vertical here. So that means that the 2 boulders that have to end up here have to be stored here and in the current position of this boulder. Yeah, so that's the first observations. But now, sadly, we will need to move this one because we can't free up this path without having access to this little walkway over here. And we need to move this one for a little bit, just so we can clear this up. Have some space to work with. Alright. So now maybe get this one off the wall, back to where it once was. Maybe storage for like there for a little bit. Move this one back. This one can go here. This one can go up. Now there's more than enough space to open this up without any effort. So now we put the second boulder in position. We can put these in without any effort, and there we are. Just yeah, you really need to you really needed to think this one through before you yeah, made any rash decisions. Very small puzzle here, but it should be tricky in the sense that you can't do this because then it's impossible to push any boulders to the spaces on the right hand side. So that's what we're going to refrain from. What we can do, however, is push this one down, and we need to clear up this space to be able to yeah, to be able to push boulders over here. But before we can push a boulder over here, this space needs to be, this little walkway needs to be cleared as well. How will we do this? This is a good way of doing it. Clearing up this walkway and simultaneously pushing this one down. And once we have our fourth boulder out of the way, we can, if we're just a little bit careful, finish up the rest. Alright. Another tent. Excellent, excellent. And change of music. Very wintry. So these are in quite an awkward position. You can just push it down. There's no harm there. We need to get them into the star shape. And the main difficulty here is figuring out the order in which you want to fill the shape up. And I need to think for a second myself what the correct order was. We can only get one boulder from down here, and we can get two from either side. Thinking what was the correct way to do this. Oh yeah, I remember. Small trick. You need to leave this one in this little walkway for just a second in order to be able to fill up the top location while still having this walkway to be able to get yeah, to still be able to get to the top area, and then you can just fill everything up. Excellent. 3 boulders, yet a surprisingly delicate puzzle. There's a very, yeah, this is a very special area here. Yeah, so first let's make some room for ourselves. We want to fill up this space. But this one needs to get, yeah, this one needs to move first, so let's just get it out of the way. as well as we can. Alright, so we can get it out of the way. And now we can easily fill up that space. Yeah, so it's clear that this boulder has to come here, and this one has to go all the way around to here. But we need to be careful about how we go about this. Namely, once this space is filled up, if we push this one down, we still need to walk around to actually get it in. Yeah, to get behind here and push it to the left. So actually you need to move this one down at the same time as we push this one down. It looks like it's blocked in, but actually we just take care of them at the same time, because one by one you can't do it. It's a very simple looking puzzle, but there's a small trick. It looks like you can only store 3 boulders here, but of course you can just store a 4th one, because this one has to get out of the way before you can get any boulder into this area here. So yeah, get the 4th one in, push it back out immediately, and then, well, we know the trick now. It looks like you can only store 2, but in reality you can just store 3 boulders in that space by putting them in a little L shape. And yeah, now we can, with a little bit of thought, fill up the rest of the spaces. Very well. Alright, let's continue to puzzle 13. Excuse me. This one. First we need to worry about how we're going to get into this blocked off area. And basically the only way to do it is this. Now of course we immediately see that we have this lovely corner spot we need to fill, but once this is filled it will be tough to get boulders into these 2 spots. I mean, you could still reach this one from down here, but this one will be harder. So it may be an idea to just get this one out of the way and put it into this corner first. Okay. Let's give ourselves a little space. So now, like I said, if we fill up this one, we can't fill up this one unless we have a boulder stored somewhere around here. But to store a boulder somewhere here, it may be wise to first get this one, which is up here, out of the way. So yeah, let's take a look if we can get rid of this one. This one needs to go up here, but then this one needs to move first. Yeah, so let's just make some space. Push stuff to the side. Push this one up. Now we have a lot of room to store him here. To do this, we finally fill up that corner position there. We can fill up this space here. And then we can fill up the rest. So yeah, indeed requires some definite thought. Quite an awkward looking puzzle, I have to admit. But it's not overly difficult. Let's first make some room. Excuse me. So yeah, we see that we have 4 boulders up here, and we can at the end push 3 of them in here without any issues. So there's only 1 boulder we really need to worry about. Where is that one gonna go? We could put it here, or we could put it here. I wonder what the best space is going to be. And I think it's here, because we can fill up these 4 spaces all, even when these 3 spaces are already occupied. So yeah, that's basically the idea. We fill up these spaces here, and then we fill up the other 4 spaces. That's all there is to it. But it's hard because the boulders that come from a certain side need to be pushed in weird spots. I mean, they were not all for touching. Puzzle 15. This puzzle kind of has 2 parts. First of all, we need to get this stuff moving and out of here. And then the second part is to fill up, to get the boxes actually in the precisely right locations. So let's see, how do we get this to move? We need to make some space. Like this. So there's at least 1 boulder out of the way, but it isn't really gone just yet. Need to push it to the left. So this is how you do it without blocking everything in. Alright. So now we can just take this one along as well. And of course there's no harm in starting to fill up these 3 spots right away. Now we need to be a little bit careful here. Don't want to accidentally block something off. Let's just give ourselves as much space as we possibly can. Like this. Alright. That's the 3rd one. Still looks a little crowded in this little corner, but there's nothing we can't handle. So now we need to worry about these last 3 locations. Of course it's quite tempting to put one in this corner, but as you may have guessed, that will give us some trouble filling in these 2 locations, because the boulders will eventually come from down here, and so yeah, so to push them to the side, this one needs to be free, but to push it to this side, we need to come from we need to walk over either this spot or this spot. So we should leave this one free until we have properly filled up those. And of course the only way to reach this one with these 2 other locations already being occupied by boulders is to leave it down there at the lantern. Whoops. Yeah, so for this move this still had to be unoccupied, and there we go. Excellent. And another tent. I think this is the last tent for this area. Another small puzzle. Again, surprisingly delicate. Again, don't succumb to the temptation to fill up this spot because you need it to move a boulder. Yeah, to the space below the tree. So the best way to get a boulder into this middle area is here, but we shouldn't push it below the tree just yet, because then we will run into trouble. Namely, if we push this one down, we still need to be able to walk around, so we can push these two in one go, and that's the only way to do it. Then we can fill up the rest. Alright. So this is the last puzzle from this area. And we have two puzzles that seem identical from the outset. But they are slightly different. Even though the solutions are similar, they're not the same. But yeah, there's a couple more of these puzzles that are almost the same but not quite. They're usually not too difficult. There's just a bit of fun to see how the solution changes when you when you change up a little bit. Now I need to be careful because I don't want to mess this up. How do I do this? Am I doing it right at this point? I don't know. I'm thinking I might not. No worries. I did it right. Okay. Yep. That's how you do it. And what might await us in here? At last, warmth. There's still some food and a knife laying around. It's almost as if mere minutes ago someone had been cooking here, but for some reason they had left their job unfinished. Take the knife? Sure. You never know what dangers await me on my journey out of oblivion. So sometimes if you interact with objects, you can pick up items, but not always. But sometimes. You just stepped in a place on the floor covered in a queer green substance. It makes a squishing sound as you move your feet about it. It's utterly disgusting. It looks like some kind of mold. Indeed it does. It's starting to get a little old, don't you think? What a way of starting a conversation, young lady. Treating the elders with some more respect certainly wouldn't hurt you, Lewis. I'm sorry, mister. Even after all these encounters, I still haven't succeeded in learning his name. I may assume that you're familiar with the terms of the little game we are about to play, am I correct? Sure. Solve the riddle, obtain the key, leave this place, more puzzles, repeat. So why again do I have to go through? Excellent. Then let us commence the fifth game. Fifth? It is only my fourth encounter with this man, if I recall correctly. Once in a large crowded room, once in a forest cabin, once in some room resembling a small child's bedroom, and now. Maybe he includes the scene of my awakening in this endless midhouse. Could this mean that he was the one behind What? Sorry. Could this mean that that was one of his games as well? Had he been watching Tom and me struggling with cracking the code? The thought alone gives me goosebumps all over my body. But this means that he must be the one who dragged Tom into this as well. I haven't seen Tom in such a long time. Really wonder how it's been holding up. If I could just come in here, I'd like to ask you something. Really? Well, since you're asking so politely, I will grant you permission. Where's Tom? I truly am terribly sorry, but I don't know anyone with that name. Where is he right now? I do not know. Last time I saw him, he disappeared from the giant room full of people. What did you do to him? I haven't done anything. Did you kill him? No, what? Is he locked away somewhere? Just like you locked us up in the beginning? Did you hit him or torture him? No, he's fine. He is fine? What just happened? Suddenly so silent. The riddle. I will now hand you 5 gold coins. It's your goal to reduce the number to 1. It continues just like that? In this game, I will play the role of a businessman. However, there are 2 kinds of businessmen. Some are able, others are not. It's up to you to decide which role I will be taking on. I will follow 2 rules. A good businessman will trouble your money, but in return, he will ask 1 coin as a reward. Quite noble, if I may say so myself. Bad businessmen will make you lose half your money, but feeling ashamed, he will hurriedly take off and ask no salary in return for his services. Please do note that I can only take on the role of an unable businessman when your current amount of coins is even. Odd numbers cannot be halved in integers. One last thing. The pile of gold coins next to me is of course by no means inexhaustible. Should you attempt to exceed the amount of 150 coins, you will lose the game for the sin of greed. Come talk to me when you are finished looking around so you can play. Alright. He made a mistake. He actually made a mistake. I can't believe it. He let it slip that he knows Tom. I knew there were things that just not add up. He knows more. There's no doubt about it. It also means that this guy is one to really watch out for. Even if he's not the mastermind behind all this, he still chose to participate in this thing. I guess I'll just continue after solving this puzzle. Maybe I'll be able to find out a little more. Right? Yeah, so this is a small variant on the famous mathematical conjecture, the 3n+1 problem, which states that if you take any number, and if it's even, you divide by 2, and if it's odd, you multiply by 3 and add 1, you will always get down to 1. Always. It's still an open problem. And it's interesting that if you change the 3, if you change the rule from times 3 plus 1 to times 3 minus 1, the conjecture simply false. Namely, with the number 5, you will get into a loop. So if we would increase because it's odd and decrease when it's even, so we multiply by 3 and add 1, you will see that you will actually get into a loop. So just greedily reducing the number of coins won't work. So yeah, you need to be careful about when you will when you will want to decrease at say 10, but then you'll be back at 5, so maybe we need to increase it instead. Maybe it'll work out. Now we're at 29, not the best number to be at. We need to increase it again. Now we're at 86. Might be a good time to try to decrease it. 43, not sure. Increase. And then 128, and that's a lovely number. nice power of 2, we can get all the way back to 1. Your current amount of coins is 1. Very well, I knew you could do it. Now could you please hand me the key? Why the rush, Lewis? I'm just getting started. That was too easy, wasn't it? Let's play another game. Oh no, here we go again. This time the roles of the good and the bad businessman have changed. Choosing either will have a different effect on the amount of money you have. This time, the good businessman will only double your money, but he will be so glad with his success that he will ask nothing at all in return. The bad businessman now doesn't change the money at all, except for him taking one of your coins as payment. Greedy people, don't you think? In the previous game, you reduced your amount of coins to only 1, but now the challenge is to increase this again to, say, the current year, 2018, even though it's already 2019, coins. There is one catch. You're only allowed to invoke the help of a businessman 15 times. After that, you lose the game. Understood? By the way, there's no longer a maximum of number of coins you can have. I may have lied a little bit about the pile next to me. Please excuse me for that. Now come to me and beat the game whenever you feel like it. Alright, let's try to beat this game. Do you want me to explain again, or will you try to beat the game? Well, I'll beat the game. So yeah, the trick here is it's incredibly difficult to work out what to do if you just try to mess around going forward. But this time it's actually a better idea to work backwards. So you start at 2018, and instead of multiplying by 2 or subtracting 1, you need to divide by 2 or add 1. And if you just play greedy, you will find a nice path of length 15 all the way down to 1, which is actually the shortest path, if I recall correctly. In the end, it comes down to multiplying by 2 a lot of times until you get to 128, and then alternating increase and decrease. Marvelous. I'm gonna bestow on you the key to the kitchen. The man hands you the key. And as always, I sincerely hope you enjoyed. Now please leave. You're getting closer. Closer? What's that supposed to mean? Close to what? I'll see you shortly. I told you to leave, then do so. Okay. You don't need any hints. I think this one was for the first puzzle and the fancy one was for the second puzzle. Yeah. Let's see if this key works. You turn the key and the lock opens. The body of a young girl appears to lie lifeless in a small cage. You do not know how she may have gotten there, as the bars seem to be impenetrable and there is no sign of a door. Suddenly, the body of the young girl twitches, and as her mouth opens, words start flowing out in a rather monotone fashion, though her lips remain completely still. I'm so hungry. Do you have something to eat? I do have an apple for you. Here you go. You reach through the bars and place the apple in the little girl's hand. She seems to hold on to it very tightly, as if it were a really precious gift from a special someone. I'm in so much pain. Do you have something to ease the pain? Well, I do have this weird liquid. I don't know if it helps, but you might just as well give it a shot. Place the container of an unknown liquid on the girl's lap. Her body remains completely still. The pain is gone, but it will return. Do you have something to help the wound heal? Well, I happen to have a few bandages. I found them quite a while back. You took the bandages and placed whatever few you had left on the floor in between the little girl's legs. Her legs moved about ever so slightly in response. Thank you. Now my agony will be finite. I'm still so hungry. Might you have any food still? Here you go. It's my last apple. I don't really like apples anyway. Did you know gods of death like apples? In the little girl's empty hand you place your last apple. This hand too clings really tightly to it, as if you would expect someone to steal it again from her at any moment. Thank you so much. Thanks, sis. You really helped me out. No problem. One last request. Do you happen to have a knife with you? Yes, I do. Why? Can you cut yourself free? Want to make a trade? I have a letter here that might interest you a little. A letter? Want to trade? Sure. You hand the girl the knife, and she absently hands you the letter through the bars. Thanks, sis. I knew I could count on you. Now my suffering will be even shorter. Hold on, what do you mean by that? See you later, sis. It's a letter addressed to Colin Garner. Read it. My dear Colin, you may be surprised to find this letter while being away for a 2-week business trip. Should I have made you worry, I apologize. That was not at all my intention. First of all, how are things going over there? Is Thailand really as hot as people say it is? And don't forget to take some pictures. I'd love to get a sneak peek of the beautiful foreign scenery when you get home. How long to travel, Colin? With these trite things out of the way, let me arrive at my point. Just a few hours ago, Tom and I had a very good talk, during which he expressed his concern for Louis' mental health. After he elucidated meticulously what exactly he had noticed, I couldn't help but share his concern. I promised him to talk to you about it, so hence this letter. Hitherto I had always considered Louis as a pure, pristine, delicate young little flower. That image is gone. What I see now at the breakfast table every morning is the soul of a seasoned slave, a broken, crying soul. I wondered whether or not it was already too late to mend her tainted heart, and I had arrived at the conclusion that we should stop at once. This is the time, our final chance. We've discussed this numerous times before, and I know we need the money, but Colin, I swear to God, it's now or never. Tom was most infuriated, and he basically demanded of me that I put a stop to this madness. Of course, I will not be bossed around by my own offspring, but still, if things go on like this, we might even lose 2 kids instead of 1. Think about that, Colin. Please consider it. You know there's no guarantee it'll work. I beg of you, reconsider the plan. There must be some other way. One with fewer sacrifices. What we're asking of Louis right now is simply too much. It's immoral. I'm sure you can devise some alternative. Only you can. Just cogitate and ruminate. Do what you're best at. I believe in you. Much love, Charlotte. No way, you must be joking. It's still snowing relentlessly, and the temperature is still well below freezing. This is downright insanity. Well, back to tent hopping again, I guess. Alright, so I think this is a good point to end this episode. I hope you enjoyed watching, or if you just needed a solution to one of the puzzles, I hope it helped you. And yeah, good luck, have fun, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.